Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, I'm getting out the air horn and the siren because we have big news.
You could have actually pulled up those noises on
You
your
know what?
computer.
I could
You're
have.
gonna just act it out.
Almost a year maybe to the day. What would you
It
say?
is it is the same week. It's great because a year ago this time, on
Yes.
September 21st, 2022, Michelle Williams went lead for the Fabelmans. And that happened like 2 hours after we finished recording our episode that week. So luckily this year, Lily Gladstone had the courtesy to go lead before we recorded.
Exactly right. Last night. We're recording this on Wednesday, Tuesday night. Big variety exclusive. Lily Gladstone will be campaigned as lead actress for Killers of the Flower Moon. Deja vu all over again from the Michelle Williams from the Fabelmans. Like you said, it's a locked in, seemingly rubber stamped Best Supporting Actress winner, deciding that they will go in the Best Actress race instead.
Who's going to do this next year in the
I don't
third
even
week
know
of September?
what movies. We have to find the movie, I guess, and then figure it out. I love this yearly tradition though. It makes it so much more fun. We were talking about this last week, and we were like, imagine if she go, because it despite everyone assuming, perhaps rightly or wrongly, I guess in this case, that she would be supporting. It was not decided yet, or at least that was what we were told.
No,
So we
it was
speculated last week
always,
that this could happen.
yeah. I mean, this was always the case ever since the movie premiered at Cannes. It was like, is she gonna be lead or supporting? And they did not decide. And like I said last week, I didn't expect them to decide until after festivals, so
So
they can get a wider view of the
they
field.
did.
So
And they decided that she could be in the Best Actress race. I would say if you were paying attention to the press, certainly the media that the cast has done before the strike or whenever they've done it, and Scorsese interviews, they've definitely
that they've been
established.
published in the past week.
They have really pushed for her being the lead. This is in British Vogue. Her Lily and Leonardo DiCaprio on the cover, and Leo says Lily is absolutely astonishing in this movie. She carries the entire film and the
Yeah.
story.
And then Marty said something similar in the Time magazine interview last week.
Mm-hmm.
But this has basically been their party line since the Cannes press conference, really. Like they've really talked about or zoned in on how they're focused on the Osage,
Right.
and Lily is the heart and soul of the movie. So like they're trying to position her as the focal point. And
Yes.
I get it, obviously. Um, I still believe, having seen the movie, that the role in the movie in the final cut is supporting, but I understand why they want to go lead. I also think like that might not be the best look if you're talking about like how, she, fronts the movie, or not front, but like, she carries the movie, and like you're not going to put her in lead, right? Or you're not
Right.
going to run her in lead. But yeah, I like, it doesn't, like, I don't care where she runs. Like, who cares? It's like, doesn't matter to me.
So
So,
totally fine. And also, like you said, like there's a lot of reasons for her probably to want to run lead, and certainly the movie, like you said, the way they framed it and stuff. We have got the privilege, perhaps, of having seen it, and I would
well,
agree
you've
with
you've
you.
seen it twice. So
I
I
did.
I saw it only once in June. So you saw it again last. You've seen it twice when most people are dying to see it just once.
I definitely
But
got a lot of
you
shit.
have more recency bias with it because you saw
I
it
de-
again last week.
Definitely got a lot of shit for going again from friends who were like, "Wow, I can't believe you've seen it twice." I'm not gonna. I don't want to. Even though the reviews, I mean, like it's weird because it premiered at Cannes, so like there are a ton of reviews online. You can read all about the movie already. That said, people kind of like maybe intentionally forget things or whatever, and they're waiting for it to come out in October. Yeah, I've seen it twice. I think to me it's a supporting performance, like
Yeah.
because she's just like you were saying, the movie is, she might be the heart and soul and definitely the emotional center of the movie, but the
Mhm.
movie is still told through Leo's character,
Yes.
Ernest. And Ernest is stuck between basically Lily's character Molly, who plays his wife or eventual wife, and his uncle, played by Robert De Niro. And the whole movie is the conflict of Ernest kind of going between those two relationships, And basically, if you want to expand it out, if the movie is like basically is a metaphor for like American evil, or just like, you know, like the
Agreed,
banality of evil, really, right?
Mhm.
And like Leo, I think, is a great encapsulation of that, because he's not, in the beginning of the movie, he's not a bad guy. He's just a lazy kind of American guy.
He gets corrupted by Bob.
And he's easily corrupted, as it like I think the theme of the movie is how easy it is for people who are like standing on the sidelines, or not like really caring or care about themselves and have more selfish interests. Like he says, like, I love money, literally says that in the movie, and he loves women, and like that's literally lines that he says. If you act like that, and that's a very American idea, that is like a road to ruin.
It's like this just entitlement,
right?
You know,
it's about the entitlement of like white people and like America in general, right? And like the elites of America. And the whole movie is like that. And like De Niro pushes down on Leo, and then Leo pushes down on lower class people that he's meeting. And then obviously they're all taking advantage of the native population. And that's like kind of the theme of the movie. And so Lily is obviously like a major factor in that movie, but the movie is still not solely from her perspective. And I think if you read these quotes, you look at this headline that she's running lead, and you watch the trailers and you haven't seen the movie, you might go into it expecting more than what you'll end up getting. It doesn't matter to me, like you said, that she runs lead. I think it's like borderline, certainly like Michelle Williams was last year. I can make a case for her supporting, certainly, and I could see her being in lead. But I just think that, having seen it, to me, it is like a supporting performance. But sure.
Yeah. I agree. Like, to me, the only lead of that movie is Leo, because like you said, it's filtered through his POV. We enter the movie through him because he arrives in Oklahoma and he hooks up with his uncle, like Robert De Niro. And then Robert De Niro encourages him to marry an Osage woman to get the head rights to the oil. And yeah, like it's really like his character torn between the angel and the devil on his shoulders, right? Like his love for Molly, and then his fidelity to his uncle, who's just manipulating him.
Right.
So
and that's why I think the movie, like, we'll talk about this as it comes out, and having seen it twice, I was like, it's not the Fabelmans, obviously, because it's like not a personal like story. But I think if you watch the Fabelmans and you're like, oh, Steven Spielberg made a movie that like explains and like kind of reconciles every one of his other movies, I do think Killers of the Flower Moon is like that too, and that a lot of the themes in the movie are stuff that Scorsese has been grappling with for like 50 years. And like it really kind of all comes together in this movie. And so that's why I think it's like a very good movie. But we'll talk about this obviously when we get to talk about the movie more. But I was just like, there you go. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people online were very excited about this. This was Film Twitter's like favorite thing.
Yeah, I mean, they, you know, a lot of Film Twitter really wanted her to go lead ever since Cannes. Right. So, and so I think, you know, those people are excited, and they also want her to win too.
Yes, she would be the first Native American nominee for Best Actress. And then also the first Indigenous woman to ever win. Is that right? Do I have all these firsts right?
Yes, like Native American as in US. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because there have been other Indigenous women nominated. So, and yeah, like it'll be historic. I think that's also why a lot of people wanted her to go and lead too, especially like, you know, like we've been saying, they've been framing the movie as, you know, like all the quotes about like how they rewrote the movie. So it's not from the FBI perspective, like a white guy's.
Right.
But it's still about a white guy marrying into an Osage family. But but from that perspective, there is more prominence of like the Osage tribe have more prominence in the film.
You definitely get a little more sense of their what they're thinking and everything.
Yeah, because like Leo's in the family, there's a lot of dialogue in Osage. Like you definitely would not get that from the FBI perspective, because it would just be Jesse Plemons solving the case.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess the problem I have a little with, not a problem, and again, we'll talk about this more overall as a movie, is like it doesn't feel like, if you're going to do that with the movie, it feels like there's maybe not enough of that, right? Because there's still so much of it's basically white guys doing crimes is a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And it's a 3.5 hour movie. So that means you're getting a lot of that in there.
Yeah. So yeah, like I think it's a great movie. Like I really enjoyed it. So I love the ending.
The ending's great. And they're all, it's great. I'm not a knock on the movie. So we had her winning Best Supporting Actress. Most people did. I don't know if you actually did. You might have had. I think you had.
I had her.
ended
Yeah.
up putting her in there first. So now there's just always a blank space when I woke up this morning on my predictions because she's gone. So we had to put her into Best Actress and then rejigger Supporting Actress. So Best Actress was already overloaded. We talked about this last week. Completely stacked. There are legitimately 10 women who could probably cop to a legitimate case for Best Actress this year. Now there's Lily Gladstone too. So what you do, Joyce? I'll let you go first. I'm assuming you.
Why are you like embarrassed to say what you did?
No, I want to see what you did because I want to see if it matches what I did. But I already got. I mean, I put her in. I have her right there in 4th place.
It took me a while to decide who to drop.
Yes.
So
who did you have?
I had Emma Stone, Sandra Hüller, Annette Bening, Carey Mulligan, and Fantasia.
Okay.
So I debated dropping Fantasia, Annette, or Carey. And then I decided to just do Fantasia only because she's the only one who has not been seen yet, her film.
Right.
And then I put Lily in second. So I have Emma, Lily, Sandra, Annette, and Carey.
So I still have Lily in 4th. I have Emma, Carey, Sandra, Lily, and then I dropped. This was my tough thing. I dropped Annette because I kept Margot Robbie in for Barbie. Probably wrong. I never had Fantasia in, and I guess I will wait to see her movie before I decide to put her in. It doesn't seem like, again, I understand why she's being predicted. She's currently in 3rd place now, and I wonder if that'll drop even further when people start.
No, I think a lot of people will probably still keep her in there. It's like I think most people will have Emma and Lily for sure.
Seems like they're pretty locked.
Yeah, and then it's just you know.
I couldn't drop. I just was like, Margot. I don't want to go off this Barbie ship yet. And I'm like, I still think it's getting in for Best Picture, and I still think it can get a lot of nominations. We didn't even talk. This happened after we recorded last week, but they're going to campaign the script in original, so that is another like potential category.
They can campaign an original, but
they might not nominate it.
And the Academy could still move it and adapt it. So.
They could, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it an original and nominate an original. So I'm like, that was like a boon for I think the movie overall, or that decision. We'll see if it pays off. So I was like, I keep going back to like Barbie, I think is going to be like a big movie. People really like it. The only reticence I have with Margot is I just think that she won't have a lot of like top support. And I think she's going to have like, she'll be like 4 or 5 for a lot of people. And then maybe like Annette or Fantasia gets more passionate support and goes all the way to like, it's possible that happens. So I have Margot for now, but it's very tentative, I would say. And I guess if I was going to keep her out, I would put Annette back in because I still think Annette, even though she's playing a character who is very brusque, will have a lot of support as like the physical transformation of the elder statesman of this category.
I agree. I think someone like Margot in Barbie might not pull enough number ones to get in. Like I think Emma and Lily will get number ones. I think Sandra will get number ones, like just like highbrow.
Definitely.
And I think like Annette and Carey can do so as well. Just kind of they have like more broad appealing type of films,
Sure. Yeah.
So
especially Nyad. I mean, that's like a pretty down the middle sports drama.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of like it's a good like alternative, if you're not like in the highbrow camp.
Right.
He's like Emma is still kind of like that's an atypical performance still, to win, no matter how crowd pleasing Poor Things is. And like, Annette and Carey are in more traditional type of fare. And like I think Fantasia can also be the same. Like, it's everyone knows The Color Purple. Right. And like I'm sure many of the voters saw the Broadway production, the revival, like with Fantasia maybe too. So yeah, and it's like another like apple in the bag of oranges, right? It's like something different.
Right.
that, could pull in, like, it has its own pocket of supporters.
Definitely. I mean, that's kind of why I was thinking, like, I thought Annette too would be that too, because she's like, of all these characters, she's playing like the most, I mean, like the biggest asshole, kind of, even though she, you know what I mean? Like, she's at least very brusque. And like, I don't think you could say that about the other 4 people here that I have in, which would be Carrie, Sandra, Lily, and Emma. They're like not, so it's a different flavor of performance, I guess. With Margot, I was like, I could still see her, like, I think SAG this year is going to be hilarious because like you can have Annette and Margot both getting in at SAG. I feel like those are seem pretty
I think
SAG
Margot will
friendly.
make SAG, and I can see Fantasia missing SAG just because the film is late. Like, it'll
Very
depend on
late.
the screener situation.
Very, very late. I feel like for it to be in SAG, they'd have to start really showing it soon.
They need to start sending out the screeners like as soon as they start showing.
And I don't think they're gonna. So I'm like, Margot gets in at SAG. Maybe Margot gets into Critics' Choice Awards where they have like 8 nominees because a bunch of ties or whatever. And then like she misses BAFTA, and maybe she misses overall, and she could be like Viola Davis this year, or maybe she's not because the movie is still so popular. Like, I think the strength of her movie would really give her a boon here and like help her out. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. But we'll see if I change. I probably will change my mind a million times.
I don't know, like that would, like, are you saying they would vote for her just because they like Barbie?
I think you would kind of maybe yes, because the movie is, she is the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you like the movie a lot, like you would obviously like her. And so I think if you're like, well, I have Barbie, like I'm really big fan of Barbie, like of course I'm gonna have to put Margot in because I really like the movie. And
But I think that also depends on the field. Like, I think that's easier to do if the field is weak or you personally don't care about any other performance. Like, you could love her in Barbie, but maybe, I don't know who else is there. Maybe you also really, really love like Natalie Portman in December, so you're going to vote for Natalie Portman because maybe she also has been snubbed in places.
Right. But I guess I would say, like, if I, based on that, then like, I don't think you're wrong in thinking that Carrie maybe is vulnerable too, even though people really loved her performance, because I think Barbie will be overall stronger movie than Maestro. And so like, I still think Margot would get a bump over Carrie for fans of Barbie.
I kept Carrie because I think it's still like the Maestro, the movie is still like Netflix's priority as a film, even if Carrie might not be the best actress priority, like that could be Annette,
maybe.
So yeah, like, and then like that's also still like the more traditional type of film that might appeal to the old guard in the Academy. So like, obviously I have both Barbie and Maestro getting in. Like, I think Barbie's top 5 in Best Picture.
Me too.
So but that's why like Barbie can get in without Margot.
I think it could, but I just think it would be, I would just be a little surprised. I think that I would be a little surprised, but also like, I guess because I just think that would give her an edge over some of these others because it is a top 5 movie. And like, part of the reason, like, I mean, like Leo, I feel like is so set is because Killers is like a top 3 or 5 movie, right? And like, if it wasn't, maybe you could say he's more vulnerable. Like, I don't think Maestro is a top 5 movie, and as a result, I don't have Bradley in there for my best actor picks. But yeah, I don't know. I just think Margot, because of the strength of Barbie, is still formidable, and maybe more so than Annette, because I'm not sure Nyad is going to get more than 2 nominations. You know what I mean? Like, how many? Like, I still have Jodie Foster, and we'll do supporting actress here in a second. But I'm like, I don't know. I think it's like ceiling is probably 3 if it gets Best Picture somehow. But like, I think most likely people have it in for 2. It's just not as strong of a movie as compared to Barbie, even if Barbie's not going to win a lot.
So you have Emma, Lily, Sandra, Margot,
Carrie.
and Kim.
Yeah.
So, and you have all of their films also getting into Best Picture?
Yes.
So that's only happened 3 times?
I do, but I think this is the year it could, because I think if you look at the top 7 in our odds, all of these movies are expected to get Best Picture nominations because Fantasia and Greta Lee is still in there in the top 7 for us. Annette is 8th. and then Lily is 9th right now, I think. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So Annette's 7 and Lily is 8. So once Lily moves up, like the top 7 in our odds are going to be for Best Picture nominees. So I think this year you would actually see that based on the strength of the.
Oh no, like I think
movies.
this year has its best chance in a while of happening, especially now that Best Picture is a hard 10. Like I think it would have happened 6 years ago without the sliding scale, because like I, Tonya probably would have gotten into Best Picture.
Sure.
Because that was the talk back then too. It's like Best Actress and Best Picture, like 5, all 5 from Best Picture.
I mean, we've had it like 2 years ago, like none of them were in, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think this year you actually will get like all of them. And I think Best Actor, you could have maybe not all of them in, though I think I actually have most of them in too. So we'll see. I just think it's very top heavy year. So I still have Emma winning. I guess I'll move Lily to second because I can make an easy case that she would just win, even though I think it's not a lead performance.
Well, I'm sure you've seen also like the other reactions last night was like, oh, this is Cate Blanchett versus Michelle Yeoh again.
I did. I found a lot of that stuff just like really not bad.
It's very reductive.
Maybe, but like pretty reductive also. I agree. I don't think it's like, it just seems like kind of, if your whole thing is like, oh, I got to put Lily in first now because narrative, and I love a narrative, but if you're like narrative in all caps and like that's it, like that sucks. I'm like, I don't think it should.
And it's also insulting to the person.
Yeah. Like she should be, if she's going to win, obviously that is a compelling story that she can tell, but like they're going to vote for the performance they love and the performance that they think is best. Like I understand like Cate Blanchett was like an acclaimed performance, but Michelle Yeoh was no slouch and like clearly won because they loved the movie and they loved her performance. It wasn't just because of her narrative. It was because of the
I would say that was probably maybe like third in her whole run, like the third factor.
Yeah. And like, if you're up there being like Lily Gladstone narrative, that sucks. And you should probably think again about saying that, I would say. And I think you should say like she could win because of the performance, the strength of the movie. It's a great work. She's so great. She holds her own against Leo, all this stuff. Yes, she could win. But if your only reason for her to win is because of narrative.
Yeah, like I did not want you to vote for me just because I'm not white.
Right.
So you could feel good about yourself, assuage your own white guilt. So
I think she could win. We did this last year. We said Michelle Williams at this time last year was like Michelle Williams could definitely win lead. And
no, I mean, when she went to lead, I never had her higher than third in Best Actress, Michelle Williams. Like I always had her behind Cate and Michelle Yeoh.
Yes.
Like I didn't think like she couldn't win. Like it was also September. Like how can you say right now definitively who's gonna win 6 months out? But I wasn't writing her off. Like who knew I was gonna, like who knew like everything everybody was gonna win 7 Oscars this time last year,
Still insane that happened.
So, but I mean, I like just like last year, I respect the hustle because they're doing the harder thing. Like this is not category fraud because they're moving from supporting to lead. It's only fraud if it's advantageous to you, like lead going to supporting because you have more screen time, maybe more narrative prominence and presence, but like, Michelle and Lily are doing the other route, which is more difficult. And like, they're both going to be, or Michelle did, but like Lily now, like she's going to be facing off against indisputable leads, right? Just like Michelle did last year. So there's like no arguing that Emma Stone is the lead of Poor Things, or Sandra Huller is the lead of Anatomy of Fall, or Annette Bening is the lead of Naiad. There's not, like not as much talk about Carrie's placement since like the poster of her back and her first billing in the teaser.
I was almost wondering, I was like, wouldn't it be hilarious if they decide to run her supporting after this?
Just like she said.
I mean, wouldn't that be funny? Like, the clearly is the lead of like a co-lead of the movie, right? Based on, like you said, the billing and the poster and the reviews. But it would make me laugh if they were just like, actually, you know what? Now we're making her a supporting contender. I totally agree with you. I mean, like Lily, like we're saying, like Lily's the lead actress of Killers of the Flower Moon. There's no question that
she's the most prominent female performer in the film.
But when you compare like, and it's not just like a stopwatch thing, but I'm like, Emma and Sandra are like the focal points of their movies, and in every scene, pretty much. I could honestly not think of one in either of those movies where they're not represented, basically. I guess for Sandra, maybe like when her son is taking the stand, but she's still in that scene, right? Like, so I have them top two, and then I've just moved Lily to third. How about that? I'll put her in third behind Emma and Sandra. I still thought before the festivals, I was like Sandra probably could win, based on like the reviews and what I felt was like a strong movie that maybe in a very competitive race she'd have the edge because of the large international body of voters. I still think Emma could win. I think Sandra's a top competitor. I think Lily is too. And if Killers of Flower Moon, we were talking about this last week, if it takes off again in October and like becomes the front runner again, I still think that would give her maybe a leg up over Sandra and maybe even Emma if the movie is going to be like the best picture winner, right? I do think it could make her.
Yeah, well, I mean, people
help
are
her
making
win.
the Kate and Michelle comp because Emma, just like Kate is going for her second best actress prize, and Michelle and Lily can have a historic win, right? But again, like Michelle Yeoh was, the irrefutable lead of Everything Everywhere.
Also, I mean, if you're going to go that too, they liked Everything Everywhere was the
like that was they loved that movie. So we don't know how much they'll love Killers of Flower Moon yet. They could, and maybe it'll sweep again. Who knows?
Or Poor Things, right? Maybe they're actually not as hot on Poor Things, and maybe it becomes like a 6 nomination movie instead of a 10 nomination movie, and maybe Flower Moon is like an 11 nomination movie, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we love this movie, we like the other one, and so like you said, like there's no real urge to necessarily give Emma Stone another Oscar, and so maybe Lily with her performance wins, or maybe Sandra wins, because like, again, like I said, I think that's like pretty undeniable performance too.
I think the three of them will probably split the top critics awards.
So if you had to guess New York Film Critics right now, Lily best actress?
I feel like Lily might be one of the 2 LA winners.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of talked about this last week, but like not with her.
I think that would make sense. I think Lily as one of
the. So do you think it'll be for lead? It'll be Lily and a guy, or Lily and another woman?
I think
last year they did Kate and Bill Nye for lead.
I think it would be Lily, and it could be Sandra or Jeffrey Wright for LA.
I can see like Emma winning New York.
I could see Lily winning. I mean, I think because of the Scorsese like tax or whatever you want to say on like New York Film Critics circle, like they're definitely.
I could see them going like Bob in like supporting.
Yeah, there. Maybe
like how like Joe Pesci won for Irishman.
Maybe once people see it, I think they're really going to enjoy him, especially the New York critics, because he's actually hilarious in the movie. It's like one of his
my favorite performance in the movie.
He's definitely one of his best performances, and he's so funny. He's just so funny. It's like weird to say.
He has like,
but it's like he's so funny.
Yeah, I don't even remember the line exactly, but there's like one scene when he's like in a car outside Lily and Leo's house, and he's just yelling at Leo. It was just, I just think about the scene and I start laughing, and I don't even know the exact dialogue.
I definitely, when I was watching that scene like last week again, I was like, I could hear in my head Scorsese laughing from behind the monitor. You know how he like laughs, like his laugh is great and he loves laughing, because the scene you're talking about, I think it actually might be one of the trailers, because I remember seeing it. But yeah, like he's saying something, his character is saying something to Leo's character, and Leo is just like dumb, just blanked, and De Niro's is like, is any of this sinking in?
It's so funny. The movie is very funny.
He's like really fun. He could win. I mean, like, I definitely think it'll definitely win something in New York Film Critics, at least.
Yeah, I could see Sandra winning like maybe National Society. I don't know.
I'm sure she's gonna win something big. And
yeah, so like Emma didn't win like the top critics awards for La La Land, so
no, because that was like a mainstream movie. Poor Things, I think
she also she also didn't win Critics' Choice, because that year Critics' Choice was early. They wanted to be first, so they were in December 2016, and at that point Natalie Portman was still the frontrunner for Jackie, so they gave it to Natalie Portman. Sure. But then everything for her deflated when Isabelle Huppert won the Globe. And then Emma just cruised after that. So like they they kind of, I guess, if they think that way, it's like they have an IOU to Emma because she didn't win for La La Land with them.
I feel like, I mean, she was never going to win for La La Land because it wasn't cool. So like Poor Things is cool. So I think she'll definitely win some of these awards throughout the season. I think when you get to the Oscars, all bets are off, and it could be any of these people, and it depends on the movies, how they perform, and whatever. Like we're saying.
Yeah, well, it's like, so like Emma can win the comedy Globe. Lily could win the drama Globe.
Yes.
So, which is also part of the Kate versus Michelle comp that people are making.
Right.
And then SAG, I don't know.
I mean, SAG, I think, could be like
SAG, I like, if Poor Things is really popular, I can see Emma winning SAG. I think Lily's performance is more traditional, but it's also, you know, very subtle. Like that's our thing. I think a lot of these, I mean, I haven't seen most of these films, like you have, but like I've seen Anatomy of a Fall, and it's a very flashy, loud performance.
So,
like there's some like subdued moments too, but like Sandra has a very lengthy testimony scene, and like there's this like very long fight that we see with her for her husband. It's a flashback. And Lily is great in Flower Moon, but she doesn't really have any kind of those like explosive like actorly moments that voters tend to gravitate.
She has one very emotional moment, I would say.
Yeah, but
and
I don't
lot
think
of it is more internalized.
Yeah, it's very internal. And so yeah, like SAG gravitates more towards like the broader stuff, but they do, like if someone is steamrolling, they do tend to rubber stamp too. So maybe if Lily is steamrolling, like BAFTA I can see going to Emma.
I think BAFTA would go to Emma too. I guess, I don't know. Should I put Annette in? I don't want to go against Barbie and Greta and Margot. I just don't want to do it.
You can do whatever you want.
This is so hard. I'm gonna leave Margot in and change it by tomorrow, and just be like, oh, fuck it. Anyway, the long story short is I think Lily could still win. But I do think a lot of the people online right now who are like, yes, of course, this is the right move, will have to maybe think differently, or will not be as sure about that when they see the movie.
I also don't think you should write her off completely in Best Actress. I agree. Like I think she can win there, depending on how things play out with the film and the reception. And I also don't think you should be like, she just threw away an Oscar in supporting. Like, who cares? Like, it's her decision. Let her live. Like,
we definitely were like, she didn't throw away an Oscar because she gets to win, obviously, and we don't know anything. But she was definitely the front runner in Best Supporting Actress. And she's not the front runner in Best Actress.
I just don't think you should be. It's just weird how mad people get when someone, in this case her, and last year Michelle, do something that goes against what they want. Right? Like, it is Michelle Williams' choice. It is Lily Gladstone's choice.
Well, I think a lot of people like to think they know everything.
Yes, that's true. But it's like,
so
like, who cares? Like, it has nothing to do with you. Like, they're not breaking any rules by doing this. You know, so like, I understand you think they have this locked up, but did they? And it's like, you know, there's a reason they, like, we knew last year, like Michelle said she did it because she felt like she hadn't seen the Fabelmans, but she felt like while she was making it, it was commensurate with like past lead performances.
And I mean, Lily could say this, like we're saying, Lily could absolutely say the same thing. She's the lead actress in the movie. She's with Leo in all her scenes. Leo's the lead actor. Like, it's not like completely egregious or
no, but I also don't think it's like the favorite situation either, you know, because like this also happened when Olivia Colman went lead, but I think that's different because that was a three-hander, and the prominence of all three of them, Olivia, Emma, and Rachel Weisz, was like kind of even. Like their screen time is kind of even. You know, like I think in Flower Moon, I think Leo will have the most screen time by far.
I'll be curious to see when we do this with the stopwatch, because it's a 3.5 hour movie, and like Lily is probably in it more than a lot. Like, you know, she could be in it more than like Carey Mulligan in Maestro by the length of the movie.
Well, yeah, because there's the minutes, but then you also need the percentage. So.
Right. So I was like, in minutes, she could be in it longer than Carey Mulligan, maybe, because it's a shorter movie by an hour, right? Like, so she might actually have that beat. But at the same time, like we were saying, having seen the movie, there are spells in the movie where she is not an active participant in the narrative. And whether you care about that or not, that's a true statement. So like, because we've seen it. And so like, that does maybe lead people to think she should be supporting. And that's probably why she was predicted in supporting. Everyone expected her to win in supporting, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you talked to someone at Telluride who said they hadn't decided yet, and that was just 2 weeks ago. So
that was like interesting. Like, I mean, that definitely made me like, okay, got it. Like, we're definitely not, it was not a decision that was made yet. They were still deciding.
Also, the other thing is maybe Lily just, I have no idea. I don't know her at all. So, but maybe she does want to make a statement and, get this nomination in lead.
Yeah, she should.
Right? Like, maybe she doesn't care about the win that people think is assured for her in supporting.
Right. And I mean, like, it is something like, again, like we're saying, there's no other, I mean, for her, like in her columns, if I was like, I mean, we don't know what she's thinking or whatever, but just like, if you're looking at the movie and she's the movie, like, there's no other act, like, there's maybe like, you could think of like her mom, like there's a few other actresses in the movie, obviously, but they have barely any significance to the story. She is absolutely the lead actress.
Oh yeah. I mean, are you saying like maybe they're doing this to position another supporting actress?
No, I mean, they could, because I forget the actress's name. I really loved her in it too, who plays her sister.
Yeah, she was really good. Yeah, there are a lot of good performances in the film. Like, I love all the petty criminals as well, but I don't think any of them really have a legit shot at a nomination.
Tantu Cardinal plays her mom.
Yeah, she was really devastating.
Sarah Jade Myers, who I really liked, who plays her sister Anna. I thought she was great too. I don't think either one of them are going to get in. I don't think that's why this decision was made, but I was just saying, like, if you're Lily Gladstone and you're like, I made this movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and like, I'm clearly the A actress in the movie. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, it's hard to swallow being told you're not the lead. You know what I mean? Like, you're not the supporting actress. You're the lead actress in the movie. She is the lead. So, like, in that aspect, I think it makes sense. You know, it's not like Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser's in this movie. He's in it for like 20 minutes. He's a supporting actor. You can't argue that he's a lead actor. But there is a million other guys in it. You know, like De Niro would not argue that he's a lead actor in this movie.
No, because there's like no real co-lead performance, but it's just because she is an actress and the lead performer is not an actress.
Yes.
That she could run there.
Right.
You know, I feel like if the genders were reversed, if Leo's character were in character, and there's the lead or supporting,
right?
Like, you could argue if like her character or man, like the male and could go lead. So
now supporting actress is just wide open spaces. What do you got, Joyce, here? Who'd you put in?
I have Da'Vine Joy Randolph now winning.
Okay, congratulations.
Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, and then I just put back in Taraji P. Henson, and then Jodie Foster. So
I put Emily Blunt in first, for no other reason than I think Oppenheimer is still like a top Best Picture frontrunner, and maybe she would win, and maybe this becomes her time, even though, like we said, this is another performance that I think is like takes a while to come up, and she's not in a lot of the movie, and all of a sudden, like, she has this great scene, and then maybe it works.
She's not going lead, so
she definitely is not going lead. I put Da'Vine Joy Randolph in second because I think that's a great performance, and I think as people see the movie, they will really like her. And I still think Holdovers is like a sneaky dark horse potential for Best Picture as maybe even a winner. I have Danielle Brooks and Jodie Foster, and then I put America Ferrera in for Barbie.
You're just in the tank for Barbie.
So I don't know why. I think Taraji makes sense, obviously, but I'm just not sure that the movie is going to support multiple acting nominees. If I only have one at the moment for Danielle. Julianne Moore is obviously a popular pick for May, December. Penelope Cruz, people loved at Venice, but I was like, I still am not buying Ferrari as like a major movie. America Ferrari has the big monologue in Barbie, has the ensemble in Dumb Money, which I still haven't seen. I have really no reason to predict her, but I'm also like, I could see her getting in at SAG and then like just like maybe she gets in. I don't think it's without question, because again, if Barbie is a big movie that people love, she does have like a the great scene. She has her one great scene. She has her Emily Blunt scene in the movie, so maybe she gets in.
SAG would be interesting here if, The Color Purple is late with screeners, because that theoretically opens up 2 spots. But I think, like America could get in there. It could be like Viola Davis for Air.
I almost thought of Viola, but I was like, I'm kind of off Air altogether, sadly. And so I was like, I think America maybe could get in. She's somehow ahead of Viola in the odds. I guess a lot of people put her in after Lily.
It's because of you, so
got booted. No, because she was already high up in the odds. I really wanted to put like Rosamund Pike in for Saltburn, but I'm not sure that one's going to really pop. Though I think this increases the chances of Rosamund Pike getting a BAFTA nomination.
You think she'll make the long list?
I do, and I think she could get in at BAFTA.
Well, after American Fiction won TIFF, a lot of people were also pushing for Erica Alexander.
I saw that. I could see that, but I do think we would need the strikes to end, because I don't think she's as well known as some of these other people, right? And like, I think being on the getting out there would help that burgeoning.
I mean, that's also not to double back on all the Flower Moon banked press, but that's clearly what they had. They were playing the long game. Like, they banked all this stuff with Marty and Leo. I mean, Marty can still do press as a director, but like Leo and Lily, like the British Vogue cover, and like their, like the framing of the focus on Lily, because she is unknown and they want people to know her name.
Yes, so. And they did a great job. She's been the cover of British Vogue. Like, it's like they've done a really, really good job.
And Leo does not do press, so they got him to do a magazine cover.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is like, they're way ahead of the game on this. Great job at it.
Like, they know what they're doing. So
yeah. So no, I would not put Eric Alexander in. I don't think Air. Don't see Air taking off again.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm not buying Penelope for Ferrari. I think Julianne Moore for May December is still very widely predicted, maybe, but I don't know. Vanessa Kirby for Napoleon is interesting. I think if that movie, like, she's like the lead of that. Like, this is funny. She did like the reverse Lily, I think, because she's like a co-lead in Napoleon, but is going supporting. I also wonder how much of that played into the decision to do Lily and lead, knowing that they have this Vanessa performance that a lot of people haven't seen yet. This opens up a spot to bring her into the race.
I mean, I'm sure it came up in the discussions, right, but I like ultimately it's still up to the performer themselves. Right. Like,
but I would imagine like the Apple people are probably not like super upset, because this is another opportunity then to get another actor in here. So I would put Vanessa Kirby pretty high up. She's still like 100-1, but I'm going to stick with America Ferrara for now. Even though I dropped Annette, I don't want to drop Jodie, because I just love her in Nyad. She's so good in the movie, and I just think people like really are going to be excited to see like Jodie Foster again, like in this kind of performance. I don't know. It's been a bit, even though she's like not acting, obviously, and she's in True Detective whenever that comes back in January. It was like the first time in a while I was like, oh man, Jodie Foster is so good. Like she's just so good in this movie. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep bringing.
Yeah, I can see a scenario in which Jodie gets in, but Annette doesn't, just because Best Actress is more competitive. It'll kind of be like, when Helen Hunt got in for The Sessions, another like comeback, like former winner coming back, and John Hawkes missed.
Yes, and those movies are maybe not that dissimilar. in the grand scheme of things. So you have Devon Joy Randolph winning, and I have Emily Blunt. That seems like what most people end up doing here, with a little bit of Danielle Brooks to mix. They're all tied right at the moment for first, basically.
I think Lily's defection from this category should make any blunt heads feel safer about Emily's first nomination. So, because I think, there's like, I think a lot of people are predicting double Color Purple. So it was kind of, it's crowded in a different way here than it is in Best Actress. But I felt like, some people were starting, I love when, like a movie, like, in the afterglow of a movie after, like in the week or two when it's released, people are like, so-and-so are definitely getting nominated. Like that happened with Emily and Oppenheimer, right? And now it's been a couple months. So it's like, oh, and you have more distance. And it's like, oh, she might not get nominated. And like all these other films have premiered and everything. It's like, maybe I'll drop her. So Lily being gone, I think, helps Emily too, if you're worried about her.
So we could also have a scenario, like, still very high. Like I still have Oppenheimer winning multiple acting awards. Now I have him maybe winning 3 acting awards. So not sure that that's going to hold, but I'm like, it could. And I think Emily could really win based on this. I don't know. I just think like the fact that she's got this great performance, even if it's like only relegated to like the back half of the movie, if you want to pretend like she's not, I mean, she's obviously in it a lot. And I think she's good the whole time. When she has that big moment at the end of the movie, she's also due. She has that narrative. If you want to add that to the list and the movie's big, then maybe she wins. But is Oppenheimer really going to win 3 acting awards?
I mean, that's what we were saying about Everything Everywhere. So who's going to be the Jamie Lee Curtis?
So I'm thinking Emily Blunt. That's why I went with her, that she'd be Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not dissimilar also because it's a smaller performance, right, from an actress who's really liked and never won. I love Devon Joy Randolph in Holdovers, and would be cool if she won. Having not seen Color Purple, it's definitely the performance here that would make you cry. So like that probably helps her out, right? Because we know that they love emotion. But
and then it's also like that could be if Holdovers is well liked but is not really competitive in another category, like this could be the spot too for it to win too. Like I think I still have it in first and original screenplay, but maybe if like it went that, like
I do too. I put Barbie up in second.
I don't know where I put Barbie.
I don't mind. I was thinking this. We didn't talk about this. This is a tangent for no reason, but just
I have Barbie in second too. Yeah.
I know a lot of people were pressed about this too, right? That like it's like not original because it's like based on IP and blah blah blah. But I'm like, I can make the argument pretty like if you're gonna say like Rustin is original screenplay, then or like a historical fiction like Maestro. If these historical movies are original, then you could argue Barbie could be too, right? Because it's all existing IP, even if it's not done that.
I mean, I don't care. Again, it's just like all this other category. Like, I don't care where it is. Like, I mean, the script itself is original.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Like that is Greta Gerwig's and Noah Baumbach's original idea.
Right.
They were using an existing IP. I do think that's different than writing a biopic, not based on a book, because real people are real people. Like no one had to invent you. Like you were born.
Sure. So, but I mean, like, it's like kind of IP though.
but like something, I mean, well, Barbie is not really the best example because it's a doll. It's not a character like, I don't know what.
Joker.
Yeah, like Joker. Like that is a character that has been in comic books that has had storylines.
Yes, I think that's like maybe
Barbie is a doll that does not have like a backstory, a history. I mean, but it's not like written, it's not textual.
No.
And it's been like the doll has been in other like films and TV shows and like whatever, right. But it's like there's no like real canon. Like I know she has a birthday and like a full name and stuff, but it's it's still a doll, and it's like you like that's the point of dolls is like I played with Barbies. It's like you create a story with the doll,
Mhm.
you know, and like 10 minutes later you have a different story with the Barbie.
Right. I think in
So I
spirit of
think
Barbies,
it
it
is
makes
like kind
sense.
of like a gray area with Barbie here, but I don't care where it is. But I just think going by what the Academy has done in the past, and how strict they are with certain things, like they'll probably bump it to adapt it, even if it spends the entire season being nominated and winning stuff in original.
I could see them not, because I think, like you were saying, um, I think the general, like, the idea of Barbie is making it like your own story. I don't know. I could see like that they can make it like original, and I think they'll let it go. I do think they'll let it go.
I think no matter what they decide, they're gonna tweak the rules to make
Yeah.
it clear like what happens with the doll. Because then
Yes.
what's gonna happen when, you know, the Uno movie comes out?
Right. Or how about the Barney? I guess would be adapted,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah, because that's like that's been part of stories. And
right. Just we were going to talk about TIFF. We mentioned a little bit. TIFF Audience Award happened last week. Or this
American
weekend.
Fiction, congratulations.
So we had talked about that as a strong possibility, or holdovers, and it was 1-2, American Fiction and holdovers. So patting ourselves on the back there. I immediately put American Fiction in my best picture lineup because I had 9 and I was really struggling for the 10th. And so then I was like, great. I took Air out, my beloved, and I put American Fiction in. And I just think it's going to get in. And I have it in for adapted screenplay and best actor as well.
I didn't put it in Best Picture initially because I had to figure out what to drop.
What you
So I ended up dropping Past Lives, sadly.
Wow.
I can see myself putting it back in if it has a resurgence in the fall, because it did get the interim agreement to campaign.
That was big for it.
Yeah. And
you kept Zone of Interest and you dropped Past Lives.
yes.
And we have the other 8 that are the same, which is Oppenheimer, Killers, Poor Things, Barbie, Holdovers, Maestro, Anatomy of a Fall, and The Color Purple. And then you have American Fiction, and then I have Past Lives, and you have Zone of Interest.
Yeah. So it was very hard for me to do that. So
we talked about this, I think, in our column. It feels like there's an action, like a set. This is a very, very firm, even if it's September 20th, very firm race so far, where there's like
very
seven very, very, very likely contenders in Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, Barbie, all of which he get 10 nominations or more. Holdovers, Maestro, Anatomy of a Fall, and then Past Lives, American Fiction, and Color Purple I have rounding out, and you have American Fiction, Color Purple, and Zone of Interest. Those feel like less set, but certainly Color Purple, I think everyone's holding a spot for. If it falls out,
it
falls
feels
out.
like West Side Story, because I know I had West Side Story before I ever saw it.
Same.
And then it was like, it was good when I finally saw it.
So I think that's smart. American Fiction, I feel like, based on how like it won the TIFF Audience Award, which we know is like a big thing, just from everyone I talked to, it has a lot of boxes that would be checked for potential Best Picture nominee, and certainly even maybe a dark horse to win, in that it's like a movie that people are really enthusiastic about. It's an underdog that they're rooting for. It's funny, but it also says something about the way we live now, and it's also like a family drama, and like it's emotional too. It just kind of like feels like a quintessential modern Best Picture nominee to me. And so like I'm not surprised that it did well at TIFF, and I could see it getting in here as well. Past Lives, like, I don't disagree. I think it's like hanging on. I don't really have it in a lot of other spots. Right now I only have it in picture and screenplay.
Yeah, I mean, before I dropped it, I only had it in picture and screenplay. Like I had it getting the women talking combo.
So I'm going to leave it in there with the women talking combo for now. But I definitely think it's vulnerable, certainly to something like Zone of Interest, which maybe, like you had said, has got like a lot of passionate cineast support. Maybe that's enough. It just feels like hard to imagine any of these other movies breaking in to me at the moment. We don't need to go through Best Picture again, but I'm just like looking at this list. I was like, I don't know. Like Spider-Verse, I think people still are hanging on to. In the odds, I think, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Zone of Interest is still in 10th. American Fiction is in 11th. Spider-Man 12th, Saltburn, Air, Napoleon and Rustin, and Origin. Like, I don't know. Like, if Color Purple doesn't get in, I don't think it's gonna. I think it'll just be Zone of Interest for me, and maybe Past Lives for you, I guess.
Yeah, I hope there's like some surprise later on, because it would be kind of boring if this is pretty much set at this point, that like, you know, a lot of people are in consensus about most of the 10.
It feels to me like one of the differences between this year and like last year is that because of what was at festivals, because of like the release dates that have changed or whatever, like there are not a lot. Like Color Purple and Napoleon are maybe the only two movies here that have not been widely screened at festivals or for press or any, you know what I mean? Like everybody has seen these movies. A lot of people have. So there's no like mystery. Like last year we had like Babylon was still like looming, where you're like, wonder what that's going to be like. Or, you know, like you were saying, like West Side Story a couple years ago was like very late. There's not a lot of late movies this year.
Well, last year we also had All Quiet on the Western Front out of nowhere, just
Right.
in the 11th hour. Like, are we going to have that this year? I don't know. But American Fiction, I said it's in our column too. Like, I could see it just being like a starter film for Cord Jefferson. Like, it'll get these 3 nominations for picture, actor, and screenplay and not win any of them. But then he'll break out with his next film and might win something.
I could see that. I also think it's not out of the question to say it's win competitive in actor and screenplay. I put Jeffrey Wright in for actor. Did you have him in now too, or no?
I do. I put him in. I dropped Coleman.
Wow. I dropped Bradley, obviously, for him.
I mean, like, you didn't have him in before.
I did have it. I think I had him in last week when we did it. I have Murphy, Coleman, Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Jeffrey Wright, and Leo. That's my 5. I think I had that last week too, because I have Jeffrey at 100-1. So I think I had him in. I'd be surprised if Coleman doesn't make it in, but I guess maybe he doesn't. And maybe next year he wins for Sing Sing for A24.
Yeah, people will be outraged that he's snubbed this year. So
I do think Jeffrey Wright could be win competitive just because of how he's worked with everybody. And like,
I don't know who's winning this. Like, I still have Killian in first, but
same.
I just have him there because
I don't think he will win, honestly. But I have him in first too. And then I have it in adapted screenplay, American Fiction, but I don't have it beating any of the. I mean, this category is another monster. What did you do? So for Barbie, when you moved it to original, what did you do here to replace it?
I just put in American Fiction.
Okay, so I put in All of the Strangers. I don't have Zone of Interest. I'm off it.
Oh, I already have Zone of Interest.
Right. So I have All of the Strangers and American Fiction getting in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Then original, I just dropped Air to put in Barbie. So
I also dropped Air. I kept Rustin in on mine. I think you have Maestro though.
I do have Maestro. I have Holdovers, Barbie, Anatomy, Past Lives, and Maestro.
Yeah, I have Rustin and you have Maestro. Yeah, I American Fiction, great job. Anything else at TIFF? I thought the Holdovers was really being a runner up there is a solid bet too. I think that shows that movie is really strong and could be a dark horse Best Picture.
Yeah, like that. Neither of their placements surprised me, and then The Boy and a Heron finished third. So
sure.
Yeah, so I mean, so as we know, last year the Fabelmans won TIFF. Obviously it got 7 nominations, did not win any. So it was the first TIFF winner since, I think, if you don't count 2011 when Where Do We Go Now won TIFF. I think it's the first one since 2008 to not win anything, right? The first winner. So no, Slumdog won in 2000. So the year before, so Eastern Promises won, so 2007.
Yeah, here are the last bunch of winners. Fabelmans, Women Talking Glass Onion were the top 3 last year. Belfast, Scarborough, and The Power of the Dog the year before. Nomadland, One Night in Miami, and Beans. Jojo Rabbit, Marriage Story, and Parasite. 2018 Green Book, If Beale Street Could Talk, and Roma. 3 Billboards, I, Tonya, and Call Me by Your Name in 2017. La La Land Lion, Queen of Katwe. Remember that one in 2016?
I remember that one.
Room, Angry Indian Goddesses, and Spotlight in 2015. Imitation Game, Learning to Drive in St. Vincent in 2014. 12 Years a Slave, Philomena, and Prisoners in 2013. Silver Linings, Argo, and Zaytoon 2012. And then Where Do We Go Now? Starbuck, and A Separation in 2011.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, that didn't even get nominated. Like, Where Do We Go Now? Like Fabelmans was nominated. So that's kind of like the fluke year or whatever.
Then before that, King's Speech, Precious, Slumdog, like you were saying, Eastern Promises, Juno, and Body of War. So basically, if you get in the top three, you're almost guaranteed some Oscar recognition also, just like a nomination at the very least.
Yeah, well, I remember this was the argument people were making for Belfast to win original screenplay, because it was like the TIFF winner always wins something. So it did win original screenplay, but then last year Fabelmans didn't win anything.
Right.
So now it's just like, if you win TIFF, you know, you're guaranteed basically a Best Picture nomination.
So I put it in. There you go. Joyce, we have so many emails this week. So
did we get a flurry of them after Lily moved to lead?
We didn't get a flurry of them. Let me see if I got one or two. Let's see. Here's one. I got a couple. Yes, we got a couple, at least one or two from about Lily. So let's start there. This one's from our pal Uri, Joyce. You remember him from last week? Long email.
Yes. How long is this one?
Not as long.
Okay.
Hi, Joyce and Chris. It's Uri again. Sorry for the rambling email last time. I don't really have anyone to share my Oscar takes with this early, and I don't tweet or post or something like that. So I basically told you all my thoughts. Uri, you could always email us and tell us your thoughts. I'm just not going to read them all because we're already babbling on.
The Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, it's just like use next. Here's a tip. If you're watching this, Uri, next time, like bold certain parts, you know, so like I could like maybe
like bullet points, like talking points, you know, like actors get talking points when they do their press tours.
Yeah. I think the move for Lily to be lead was inevitable if you really think about it. All the narrative of the movie was how Scorsese rewrote the movie to focus on the Osage, and then to have Leo as the only lead would be weird. And Lily probably thinks so too because it's her decision. And Best Actress is without a frontrunner, so it's a bit of an easier situation than Michelle's last year. Do you agree? That's an interesting way to think about it, because there are so many contenders that you could say, even though Emma Stone is technically the frontrunner, that there is no actual frontrunner, because I'm sure every one of these women would have pockets of deep support.
Yes and no. I guess like I agree, because like I don't know, like I have Emma in first, but I don't know if she's winning. Like I had her in first even before Lily moved. So and then I mean, like, would you say last year we had one frontrunner? Because I think we had two last year, like after Tar premiered. It was Kate. I think Kate was she in first, or was Michelle? I know Michelle Yeoh was in first before Tar premiered.
I think once Tar premiered, everyone felt like Kate was a slam dunk going to win her third Oscar. I really do believe that. At this point last year, it was like no question Kate was going to win.
So, but I think like they were, I guess like that's different, I guess, because it was two frontrunners. Like I think there was like a huge gap between them and Michelle Williams, who I had her. Yeah, so I think it is quote unquote easier for Lily, since she only, like theoretically, like I think Emma's in first now in the odds. Like theoretically, she only has to usurp Emma if you go just by the odds.
Right.
So
next up, Uri wants to know, supporting actress will be interesting now. I have a gut feeling that one of the color purple ladies will win now, but my gut is pointing to veteran Taraji P. Henson. But if not, Devon Joy Randolph has the best chance, I think, because of her movie. I love Emily, but I don't think she can win. What do you think? I think she can.
You're just catching strays here.
I think she can win. I have her winning. I guess my argument would be that she's in the most popular movie and it's the Best Picture frontrunner.
But you also have by winning two other acting,
which is tough beat
right now.
I think Emily's really good in the movie. She has a compelling narrative, and the movie is great. So all of that put together gives me the sense that she could be a winner. But I don't think it's anywhere near, like, I could easily make the case like for Devon Joy Randolph, like you have, or Taraji, even though I don't even have her nominated, or Danielle Brooks, or any of these women, really. It's like very, very wide open now.
Remember, like also this time last year, everyone had double woman talking and they didn't get in.
So we'll see what happens with like Color Purple. Like, I mean, that's the one we're really waiting for.
Yeah, like I think I think one of them can get in. I mean, I have two right now, but I think I would lean towards Danielle getting in if it was just one. But I know a lot of people, the sentiment online is they want Taraji to win. It's similar to how they want her to win the Emmy for Abbott Elementary.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't have her in. I have a Danielle in. It feels like that is the one that will be in. And then another, or he just like maybe was pre-listening to our episode here, Joyce, but it's finally American Fiction feels to me now like the number 10. And it sort of reminds me of an intellectual comedic coda, a small, not particularly visually interesting movie with a strong message and a nomination ceiling of one acting, writing, and picture. It may be the underdog that this season lacked up until now. Do you think it can make it in the long run and win the top prize? I do, frankly, based on coda, basically, as recent history.
But I think coda also benefited from people not loving Power of the Dog.
So the only reason I think, we've talked about this in our column, it's incredibly top-heavy Best Picture race. And like I was saying, the top 3 or 4 movies, every one of them could have 10 or more nominations, right? Barbie, Oppenheimer, Kills the Flower Moon, and Poor Things, right? Those 4 could get more than 40, at least definitely more than 40 nominations combined, right? Like that seems like not impossible based on where they're going to perform. And so that makes it hard to imagine like a smaller movie sneaking in, but maybe it will. I think the only way for that to happen is the movie has to be good and people have to like it, but it also has to be like something they're rooting for and the emotional thing. I haven't seen American Fiction. I've seen The Holdovers. Those seem like tick off that like ineffable box, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm seeing The Holdovers later today. But yeah, I haven't seen American Fiction yet. But I think like I understand what he's saying, but I do think like that year in Best Picture, like there was no, prior to coda surging, like there was no real alternative to Power of the Dog, right? And it was like the critics' favorite.
Yes.
And then obviously, as we've talked about a million times, you know, some people called it boring and cold and like all this stuff. And it was like more respected than beloved, even though it ended up with 12 nominations. But it didn't make them cry. Right. And then if you look at what else was there that year? Belfast, that was like the pundits like crowd pleaser, which I still don't think is a crowd pleaser. It's just a family drama.
I will say, like, if I'm looking, you know, like there's an easy, like, it's fun, might be fun. Like, I think it'll get nominated American Fiction, and like we haven't seen it. Maybe I'll like love it. I hope I do. I've heard it's like great. I'm very excited to see it. But I do think like Barbie could present itself as like the crowd pleasing front runner or alternative to the front runner, because like it is a movie that makes people cry, I think, in the end, certainly. Like you will.
Did you cry at Barbie?
I did a little, I think. Yeah. I liked that. Like the ending I thought was really good. And like it's also hilarious and it's very likable and easy to watch. And I think there's a world where that becomes like the movie that people are, if not an underdog, because it made almost $1.5 billion. It's like you're rooting for it. And it's different flavor than Killers and Oppenheimer, both of which are weighty, you know, American epics that are cloaked in misery, even if they're told.
Well, that's what I mean, like that year, 2 years ago, like I don't think any of the other nominees were beloved in the way that we know people love Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it was easy for people to discover coda by the end of the season. And it's like, you know, this cute little film and it makes them cry. And, you know, it focuses on a marginalized group.
Right.
Everything. And then, you know, it was like easy for them to recommend to their friends and everyone was watching it at the right time, just when voting was happening. So that was like the easy feel good alternative that people just fell in love with. And I think, you know, we like Kill the Flower Moon will come out in a month from today. So we'll see what the reaction is. But we know, even though Oppenheimer and Barbie are humongous blockbuster successes, like they're not underdogs, but they are beloved. So I think they have that going for them that the Power of the Dog didn't. So that might blunt whatever underdog is trying to come up to dethrone them.
Right.
So like seems like that could be the case for Flower Moon as well. Like people could just be in love with the movie when it comes out.
Right.
And so did you see the AP story?
I sure did.
Yeah, Oppenheimer, and they talked to Denis Villeneuve.
They talked to Denis Villeneuve and emailed with Paul Thomas Anderson, and both of them were like, it's a masterpiece.
They were
I love
just
it.
like obsessed with Chris Nolan.
Reading that story, and based on other comments this year from like Oliver Stone, who was like, it's amazing. Paul Schrader, who was like, it's a masterpiece.
Whole thread on Twitter.
To me, it's like whatever happens to Best Picture, I'm more confident than ever that Christopher Nolan win Best Director. Like it just seems like unbelievable that he would not win. No disrespect to Marty or Yorgos Lanthimos, but like, man, these directors love Christopher Nolan, and I think the fact that he's so steadfast on the filming of the film and like theatrical is like actually would help him win Best Director, because he's like a guy who is like, you know, putting his money where his mouth is and like succeeding. And I think a lot of directors are going to be very empowered by that.
I think they respect like not just his talent and skill, but yeah, like you said, like he walks the walk and like talks the talk and walks the walk. And then his films are actual successes and he puts butts in seats. Like there's also a quote in there from Emma Thomas, and she's like, you know, we've been very fortunate to have a lot of successes in our careers, but this is actually like the best one, we think, you know. And
to me, like, again, like I could see maybe splitting, and like I think Oppenheimer, the Best Picture is, you never know what's going to happen, but Best Director, I feel like I would be shocked if he doesn't win, honestly, at this point. This one is from Michael. It's about the morning show, season 3, Joyce.
I've seen the whole thing,
but it also ties into the Oscars
because of Greta Lee.
Hi, Joyce and Chris. Is the morning show season 3 just Succession light? Jon Hamm is the show's version of Alexander Skarsgård, right?
It's true, he is.
And then Michael writes, I know Greta Lee has a storyline with Jon this season on the morning show. Could this help her for past lives? You've seen it. I haven't watched. I've only watched, like, the screeners are out.
I've seen the whole season, and let me tell you, wow. Just like unhinged, but like in the best way. It's but yes, it is kind of a Succession light. Like if you've seen the first 2 episodes, you know that Billy Crudup wants to sell UBA to Jon Hamm's character, who's like a tech guy, like Elon Musk type. He has rockets. Succession had a rocket. So that plays out this season. So there's a lot of talks about shareholders and votes. People say, I have the votes. He doesn't have the votes. A lot of DOJ stuff.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, you know how fragile these deals are. But Greta, she does have a storyline with Jon. They have a history. Their characters have a history. So that plays out like mid-season. She does also have like a wild scene in 4th episode, which is about upfronts, which just delighted me, because I don't know how like normies, like regular people, feel about like inside jokes and stuff and inside baseball stuff. But like to me, like in Medium, like this is so funny to me what they do. But anyway, her storyline in that episode is Billy dispatches her to wine and dine these ad bros. So, you know, they'll like pay like 200 or give them like $200 million for ad space and everything. So she has like a very lengthy scene there. She has a lot to do in the season. I don't know if that matters for the Oscars.
Well, I think visibility would matter. Like we were saying, like getting that waiver from SAG-AFTRA to promote, even if the strikes are going to end before the end of the year, that at least having like a little bit of a head start would probably help, right? Because I think Past Lives is a movie that has certainly like lost a lot of its buzz and luster, no fault of its own, just by the fact that it is older and like there are a lot of new shiny things that have all performed as we expected they would perform. There's not been any flops. There's no Bardos this year. And so
a lot of flops last year.
There were The Sun, like we were just crossing off a bunch of movies at this point last year. And that helped stuff like Everything Everywhere stay in the conversation. Top Gun, these Elvis, like these movies that were
and Past Lives was never, it was very successful at the box office, but it was never as big as Everything Everywhere either.
Right.
And also her performance in it is not as flashy as Michelle's was in Everything Everywhere. Greta's, pretty subtle in Past Lives. It's kind of like Lily, actually. Like, they're both kind of subtle performances.
So it's it's gonna be tough, I think. Like, having any kind of visibility in that movie will help. I think, like, you dropped it from Best Picture. I think it's gonna be hard for it to hang in just because everything.
Yeah, I do think there can be a resurgence at the end of the year. So, but like the morning show aspect, I don't think I have her like in the Globes or anything. No. Greta. No. So I feel like the acting nominations for that, if that is what Michael's asking, like if she's gonna get like double nominations at the Globes, like I don't think so. Like I have her in for Past Lives at the Globes.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have her in, I don't even, honestly, no offense to her, I don't think I even thought about her for the morning show.
No.
Because it just kind of felt like, Jen and Reese, and Billy and John Hamm maybe.
Right.
So.
I got another Globes one here. This one's from Liz, who emailed us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Where do you think Ryan Gosling is going to compete at the Globes this year, lead or supporting? And do you think he'll win?
The Globes could put him in lead, as they've done in the past.
Yeah.
People. Like Catherine Zeta-Jones for Chicago.
So right now for the Globes comedy, I think I have Jeffrey Wright winning. Yes.
I don't know what I have. Ooh, let me see. I have to get there.
The top 5 in our odds are Jeffrey Wright, Paul Giamatti, Matt Damon, Timothée Chalamet, and Jamie Foxx.
I also have Jeffrey for comedy actor at the Globes, and I have Ryan in third in supporting actor at the Globes, behind RDJ and Ruffalo.
Exactly the same. So I'll say this. I think I think he could win actor more so than he could win supporting actor, I would say.
Yeah. I think he would get nominated either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could really elevate him with the win. This was also kind of what people expected for Maria Bakalova for Borat, because they actually decided to go lead at the Globes for her, but she didn't win.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Well, do you think they'll do it? Like, do you think they'll move him?
I mean, I don't think so, personally.
Yeah. Because I feel like they have, I don't know, like sometimes they do take like hard stances. Like they put Rooney Mara and Alicia Vikander in lead because they are leads of those films. I don't think Ryan is a lead of Barbie. He has a lot of substantial material, and like his own arc and everything. But like it's kind of like Ki Kwan to me. Like I remember last year, some people were saying he should go lead for Everything Everywhere. I'm like, no, it's fine. He's fine in supporting.
This one is, I guess, mostly to me. It's from Max. I don't know if we were into the show, Joyce. We've talked about it a lot offline. The cancellation of Winning Time hurts.
You were very upset about this,
especially with that ending. Why do you think it failed to find an audience, and what do you think of its awards chances are for season 2? I know this is Oscars, but we're gonna I'm gonna answer. I want to talk about this one because, man, I loved Winning Time. What a great show, and kind of saw the writing on the wall. I think we talked about this when we were doing our Emmys maybe a couple weeks ago. It felt like it's one of those things. It's so funny. It happened to me with the Gossip Girl reboot, also on Max, where it was like. It had the first season had a lot of fanfare. People were talking about it. The second season came back and not a single fucking person talked about it or wrote about it. Nobody covered it. It was like it didn't exist. And I was like, this show's getting canceled. And then sure enough, it did. And Winning
There was
Time,
also only 7 episodes, and then
winning,
every week Jeff Pearlman was tweeting, begging people to watch it.
and Winning Time felt exactly the same. Like like halfway through the season, I was like, not a single person on my timeline is talking about this show.
It came back very, very quietly.
So there was a good postmortem with Kevin Messick, who produced it with Adam McKay, and he basically was like, "Yeah, not ideal. It was a very expensive show. The ratings weren't great. HBO gave them a chance. Even before the season aired, they were already like so like." For those of you who watched or didn't watch, seemingly many of you, if you're watching this, didn't see it. Winning Time is about the Los Angeles Lakers dynasty in the 80s.
It's the subtitle, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, and it doesn't end with a rise.
So it ends the second season with them losing in the 1984 NBA Finals, the Celtics, a crushing loss that really is like going to be used in reality to springboard the dynasty, because then they win the following year and then they beat the Celtics again a couple years later, and they like really own the rivalry going forward after that loss. And the show doesn't show that because it just ends with them losing. They have a tacked on scene with Jerry Buss, played by John C. Reilly, and Jeannie Buss, played by Hadley Robinson, where they're like, everything's going to be fine. We own this. And then they cut to a montage of title cards that explain all the great things that the Lakers did that we'll never see on this stupid show.
So they sent the screener on Friday, and you obviously immediately watched it. And then you told me all that. And then it was just like, we were just like, LOL, it's canceled.
Clearly
like,
canceled.
They just added that postscript like yesterday.
they literally added this postscript that was like, and the Lakers won the following year. And I'm like, well, I guess they're not going to be a following year.
It's over.
You just spoiled the show. Anyway, yeah, they said the
spoiled history.
He spoiled history. But yeah, he was like, oh, like they said they filmed all that and like did all that in January, and that they were given the heads up by HBO. They're like, hey, maybe just have like a little tweak just in case the ratings don't change. And so they didn't change and it got canceled. I mean, you know, I don't get mad about things getting canceled. A lot of shitty stuff that's gotten canceled, and I'm just like, I understand why it got canceled. This show I particularly enjoyed, but I don't think it ever found its like real audience. Like Max was asking, I don't know who the audience really is, because like a lot of old people older than me who were like much more like, so I was a kid in those early Laker years that I didn't really know anything about the basketball, right? I didn't probably start following basketball until like 88, 89, like the Pistons years and like into the Jordan Bulls. So that's like my era. But like for people who are 10 years older than me, they are very, very locked in on that Lakers Celtics era. And I don't think those people particularly like the show because they knew it was happening. And there's a lot of creative license taken, at least in the first season, about the show. So it kind of lost that like Gen X audience immediately. And then I think younger people maybe don't give a shit because they're like, who cares about this? So I don't know who the audience
they
is.
Also,
like people,
like season 2, they also combined like 4 seasons into 7 episodes. Like season 1 was just one NBA season.
I didn't mind that storytelling because I think it ended up like moving along pretty well, and they were able to like kind of airdrop in onto like big moments for the team. But I definitely think like it should have gotten another season just to wrap it up, but obviously not. I just think the cost is too much, and like if no one's watching it, what's the point? That must.
It's also funny / sad for it to be canceled now because the series premiere opens with a Magic HIV diagnosis in 92. So
yeah, they never
whatever.
They never go back. They never go back to that.
They never go back. They can't go back. We can't go back.
And the other thing,
but we can't.
I mean, I don't think anybody's going to pick this up either. The other thing that was just disappointing, and it happens, but I'm like, it's a show that they needed to cast people to play Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they found these two very like first-time actors basically to do that, and they're both so good. And I was like, man, that's a bummer because like I think the show should have made those guys huge stars, and it just didn't. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I think this year kind of came back in August with no fanfare. The strike's happening, so nobody can promote it. No one's really talking about it, and that's it. It gets pushed away, and there you go. But it was a good show. I liked it.
Yeah, I like season 1. I have not seen season 2, so I'm part of the problem. Sorry to Jeff.
Jeff Pearlman's gonna be mad at you.
I mean, I would have just watched the screener. So I wouldn't have been part of the ratings. But yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, like it just never took off. And you like maybe the hope like in season 1, and maybe the hope was like some people caught up in between seasons, and then season 2 would blow up, and that did not happen.
What's funny is like I feel Max has been giving some of its licensing some of its content to Netflix, right? So Band of Brothers is on there now, I think, in the Pacific. Whenever they get to winning time, it will be a massive hit on Netflix. I have no doubt. It's so entertaining. It's like trashy, but it's like fun. The basketball is rules. The way they recreate the stuff is awesome. The music is great. And I guarantee when the show is on Netflix, it'll be like the top show on Netflix for like a month. And then they'll be like, oh, we should bring this back. I mean, they always could, honestly. Like, who cares? Like, if
I mean, they're still trying to like shop it, and
I don't know who would pick it up. It's just got to be so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely so. Or to bring it back to movies, like what, like should this have just been a movie? That'll been a lot of stuff, or should they have a wrap up movie?
They could definitely do a wrap up movie. They should have. I'm always things should always be movies or limited series. I don't believe in shows anymore. So I
believe in shows, but I don't believe in the state of TV as it is, because it's been ruined.
Yeah, I don't want to watch any of this stuff anymore. This is also from Max in the same email. This one would be for you, Joyce. And again, we'll go back to movie stuff because I have one more movie one, actually, I think, or two more, because I have one from Sergio too. Given the way things are going now at HBO and Max, I fear Tokyo Vice is going to get winning times. But I'm also not convinced David Zaslav knows the show even exists. Joyce, I know you're a fan of Tokyo Vice. What are your thoughts and feelings about this? Tokyo Vice.
I am a fan of Tokyo Vice. It ruled. I love season 1.
Michael Mann show with Ansel Elgort and Ken Watanabe, which was on 2 years ago at this point. When did it
was air? Last spring. They have filmed season 2, but you and I have talked about this too. Is Max surveilling us? Because I've always been like, since they haven't dated Tokyo Vice, that I've like, Zaz doesn't even know it exists. He's completely forgotten about it.
He must have.
Because now they've dated Gilded Age. I said the same thing. I made the same joke about Gilded Age and Julia, that those are coming back. So no, I don't know. I mean, I do think the same fate might befall Tokyo Vice.
So would they cancel before it airs?
No, I think they'll let it air, and then it's like the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think. I think the fact that it even got a second season was probably good for it.
I'm happy it got a second season. Yeah, it's my winning time. It also has great food. Love the food.
No, great food. Good breakout performance in that show too, I thought as well. Let me see. I lost my emails. Hang on. Let's see. This is great. Oh, this one's a jokey one. I'll read this one and then I'll do Sergio. Hi, Joyce and Chris. This is from Maria. My dad thinks Leo's head has gotten bigger, literally. Do you agree? What's going on there?
Not figuratively.
Not figuratively, literally. I will say, as you get older, I think your body changes. And I certainly feel like my head has gotten bigger. And I look at Matt Damon as another example of this. When you look at Matt Damon as a youth and Leo as a youth, different. And as you're getting older, you just get bigger. Not the body shape.
Yeah, well, your body changes. Yeah. And then you can't keep weight off the same way as you could when you were younger.
Do you let me ask you this. Do you think, if this is just in general, not for Leo, does it help to be a movie star if you have a big head? Like literally a big head?
I think it depends on the head. And then like also like your hair and your features too. Like I think like Leo has always been a good looking guy, but great. He also had like the baby face for a really long time too. Like Titanic was like still baby face.
Yeah.
I think his face has filled out more. Like he was more angular when he was younger, like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
25 years ago. I don't like, well, since you saw Flower Moon again last week, how was his head?
I thought it
was like, it was fine. It was normal.
Totally normal, I think. I will say one of the things you mentioned, like how he's good looking. I think one of the things that I love about Flower Moon, people will see this obviously when they see it, is that like the fact that it's Leo and that he's hot or was hot is like a major reason why Molly like likes him, is like she's attracted to him. Like that is like really like that is it. She's like, he is like a good looking dude And compared to like a lot of the shit kickers in the movie, he absolutely is. So
Yeah, he is the best looking guy in the movie.
yeah.
I mean, Jesse's pretty good looking too, but he
Yeah,
doesn't.
but I mean, of the people in the town, he is like
Yeah,
like he's like a prime,
yeah,
bachelor.
yeah. So yeah, and he's very flirty with her. So I really like their courtship in the
Yes.
first act.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does a really good job actually. Like one of the things I was wondering in the first when I saw it, what is this? Another window popped up. One of the things I saw when I was like, oh, like with their relationship, obviously is such a main part of the movie. And then I was like, you know what? It actually works because like you really do a good job. Like I understand why they're together, and like you kind of understand like definitely why she wants to get into a relationship with him. And I think you understand what he is doing, not just because he's being cajoled into a relationship.
Yeah, I think he does like initially he does just court her and they get married because of his uncle. Like he told him to do this, right? But I do think he falls in love with her over time. So
I think we can talk about this when the movie comes out. I don't 100% agree, but I don't want to like say why because like people haven't seen it. But I think he does actually kind of maybe like her. And this last
I don't
one,
think he hates her when he was first dating her, but I think it's just like over time. I think that happens in a lot of relationships
yeah,
too, so and I think he does. It's also about his own moral conflict, like does he want to follow in his uncle's footsteps too? So
I found another email. So I got two more emails, Joyce. This one's from Jeff. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I counted 14 Best Picture winners that were true biopics, meaning the movie was more about a living person, Gandhi, Amadeus, The Last Emperor, Braveheart, than the event, Sound of Music, Spotlight, Argo. That's only 15% of the past 95 Best Picture winners. Does this affect the chances of Oppenheimer winning, or should I just ignore this statistic? That's from Jeff.
I don't think voters think about it that way.
What would Maestro be? Because it's not a biopic. Does it count as an event? We're not allowed to call that a biopic. Maestro.
Yes, that was the note.
I don't think this matters.
It's a relationship drama.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't think this matters either. But I do think it's interesting. I think if this was 20 years ago, Oppenheimer would just be a slam dunk Best Picture winner. And now I'm still, like I said, not 100%. I still think it's the front runner, and I still have it winning.
Yeah, I think we're also, I mean, not recently, but I think it's been like past decade, and so like the type of real events based films we have, it's like less like the biopics. It's less about a person's whole life and more about like an isolated event.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess for Oppenheimer, obviously it's going to be about the making of the atomic bomb,
Right.
but at the same time, you're not following him from like birth to death.
No, it's not one of those.
So, I mean, like Flower Moon is also based on real events. I wouldn't call it a biopic.
No, it's not.
So.
Last one here from Sergio, and we have other ones. And if you've emailed and I haven't read them yet, it doesn't mean I'm not going to read it. It just means we didn't have time.
We had to spend 20 minutes on winning time today. So.
And that's exactly right. And also maybe we haven't talked about the thing. Like I have a great one here that we'll read next week probably because we're going to maybe do more of our overall picks because some like animated feature and stuff. So I was like, I'm saving that one for next week when we talk about that. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com though. I'll get your email and we'll read it. It's fun. Anyway, here's Sergio. I know you receive digital screeners for most movies. Boy, if only. Do you still make the effort to go to actual press screenings in theaters or visiting regular multiplexes on your own? Are you affected by the whole movie-going experience? Do you enjoy the post-screening chat with colleagues, or is at-home viewing equally rewarding and effective for most movies? And if so, are you always updating your home equipment? Or does it matter if you watch on a big screen TV, a computer, an iPad, or even your phone? Thank you, Sergio. Joyce, I think we disagree on this because I like going to the theater to see things.
I mean, I don't hate going to the theater to see things, but I'm not like, I gotta see it in a theater.
I will always see stuff in the theater if I could. I tell you what, I fall asleep when I watch stuff at home. Just straight up, I'm out.
Oh, I mean, I do that if something is boring, I'm not into it. So, I mean, so for like screener, we got more screener links like during COVID because you literally couldn't go anywhere.
We don't get links as much anymore.
No, not as, but like maybe for like smaller films, but like the bigger ones, you have to go usually.
Yeah, here's one. I'll give you an example. There's a movie coming out, I think this week maybe, or next week, called Flora and Son. John Carney directed it from Sundance. Apple kindly gave us a screener, right? It's up on the screening site. Killer's Flower Moon ain't going to be up there.
It'll be up there on October 20th.
I don't even think it's going to be, because it's not going to be on Apple TV Plus for like 3 months. So I don't think it's even going to be on there at all. I don't think these are going to be up, but like certain ones I think will. And so it depends on the movie. Like you're saying, smaller movies for sure. Cassandra, I got that as a link, Joyce.
Yeah, but usually, especially if like the bigger movies now, like you have to go, and like I go, like I don't like put up a hissy fit if that's what you're implying, that I don't see movies.
No, I didn't imply that.
And yeah, like I mean, if we're at the same screening, like we usually talk afterwards.
Yeah, we talked after Barbie and stuff. I like talking to like people I know.
Yeah, like I don't talk to strangers.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I mute most of these people on Twitter. I don't need to hear their thoughts on after the movie.
I do like screenings because they tend not to be crowded, and I don't like people.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. like Marvel screenings are super crowded.
Yeah,
obviously.
Most
screenings are not crowded.
I've also stopped a couple of things I've done in my screening life, Joyce. Tell me if you like. I used to, when I was a younger man, I used to just see anything, even if it was a piece of shit. I'm out there writing Mordecai. Let's go. Give me the screening invite. Nowadays, I'm like, I'm not going to see any of this shit because I don't really like it, and I'll just I'll just wait because I have like a local theater I could go to, like for Haunting in Venice. I saw that the other day. My empty local theater. I wasn't gonna go.
I love empty theaters. I hate crowded theaters. So yeah, when I go just to see a movie myself, when I pay to go see a movie, I always or usually try to get matinee, like the first showing, because it's usually fewer people, and also tickets are expensive now. So
yeah,
like I remember when matinees were like $6. So yeah, so I usually do that. Like I very rarely go to night showings of movies. I also like to go by myself, and I don't need someone to go with me. So especially with a matinee, a lot of people don't like matinees. So like I just go see a movie by myself. Like I'll invite people. I'll be like, do you want to see like whatever with me? And if they don't, like I don't stop myself from going.
No, you don't need anybody to go to see a movie.
Yeah. I know. Wait. So the last movie I saw at night was Top Gun Maverick last year.
Wow.
That was on my birthday, but it was my birthday present to my friend because he had requested that in 2020.
That's awesome.
So like we had to go at night, like after work and stuff. And so
great movie.
But yeah, but I think like we're different in that you would see a movie again in the theater, but me, after I've seen it once in the theater and like I want to see it again, I'll just wait until it's like streaming or whatever, or I could buy it. Like you saw Killers of the Flower Moon again. I'll just wait until I can see it on Apple.
I definitely want to see it again. I would see it again. I'd see it a third time. I guess the other thing though is like, well, a good movie you could still watch at home. Like we both agree on that. Like it doesn't. A good
and
movie
that's the thing.
plays.
Like that's how we consume. Like after movies leave theaters, we watch them again at home for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, a good movie is going to play at home no matter what. But I will say, like if it's a newer movie or something, I would rather see it in the theater if I haven't seen it before, than see it at home, because it's just
like I'll go out to see something if I really want to see it in the theater, and I'll go and pay and stuff. But I don't mind watching stuff at home, and I'm willing to wait for it. And I don't have like an elaborate sound system either.
I just have like a regular TV. I mean, I have like a sound bar.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does have like speakers over like on either side, that kind of thing, like surround sound, I guess. But it's not like I don't have like a home theater.
No, I don't have a home theater.
Would be great.
I also don't need like screens to be humongous. Like when when I'm in a theater, I like to sit in the back.
I like kind of back half and like on the left. That's like my ideal.
I don't mind the side, but like I don't like being up close. Like I don't understand people who sit way in the front.
Too close. Joyce, this was so fun. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Go to Gold Derby, make your picks, and put Lily Gladstone, I guess, in first place in Best Actress. And we'll be back next week to talk about all kinds of stuff. Maybe new categories to predict. What do you think? We could do that.
We could like go through all of our Globes predictions.
Yeah, maybe we do that too. So it'll be so much fun. All right. I'll talk to you then. Bye.